All right, you got normally when I come here and speak, and it's always a pleasure to be here at the Coral Ridge Yacht Club with each and every one of you. I can stand here and I can talk about things pretty much off my head extemporaneously, but as I sat down and thought about what I want to share with the lady and gentleman today, I had to break out a 5x8 card because it is absolutely getting so incredible what is happening. And really, what I'm going to talk about here is just in the last 30 to 60, maybe 90 days. But really, it is a cycle. And one of the things that they teach you in the United States military is that a good commander always looks for indicators and warnings, because that gives you a sensing about what's happening in your area of operations. And I think right now, if we don't start paying attention to the warnings and the signals that are out there, we could be in for some very interesting times. And after I finish with this little assessment I have on the 5x8 card, I want to tell you, I really believe that we are in for one heck of a summer across this world, because we have not been paying attention to the enemy that is out there at our doorsteps. They continue to tell us exactly who they are and what they want to do. The first thing I want to start off with is, in the past week, every single major military base in Afghanistan has been attacked by the Taliban. And having been there for 2.5 years, I can tell you it should be very difficult for that enemy to mount a major operation against Bagram and then also against Kandahar, where I did spend my 2.5 years. Kandahar Air Base sits out in the desert. It's about 12, 15 miles south of Kandahar City. And for them to have amassed the men and materiel, this was a combined arms operation in Kandahar, which involved mortars, involved RPGs, and involved machine guns. And there were many people that were wounded. They had the little boardwalk where they have some of the little eating establishments there in case you don't want to go to the chow hall. And that's the same boardwalk that I walked on countless amounts of times to sit right in the middle of Kandahar Air Base. In the city of Kabul, where we all of a sudden moved the main headquarters of Camp Eggers into the center of the city by the main square as you head down to the airport, we had a suicide bomber that killed 5 U.S. soldiers and wounded 18 others, to include some Canadians. This is all within a week. Now this is happening. Are we being successful in that sense? I'll tell you very simply. If after 9 years, you're fighting an enemy that can mount a major operation against your 3 major military bases, you're not winning. The next thing, we found out a month and a half ago, I believe, North Korea actually did sink that South Korean Navy vessel, torpedoed it. I believe 46 South Korean soldiers lost their lives. Sailors lost their lives. I was stationed in Korea in 1995. That is not a friendly environment for the North. And Kim Jong-il is going to continue to press and press and press until he gets what he wants. Either they implode or they will explode, taking the South Koreans with them. And already he has instituted a situation of emergency. It's called for a state of war against South Korea and start making preparations. And remember, we have not been, it's just an armistice. We have still officially been at war with North Korea since 1953. And the thing that helps embolden them is, who is the biggest benefactor to North Korea? It's China. And as long as China continues to hold as much of our debt because of the economic situation we have here, where we continue to borrow more money from them, that affects our foreign policy. So you can expect North Korea to get even more belligerent. And I think it's pretty funny, we were talking about this over here, where the Secretary of State says that, there's going to be consequences, and we want them to apologize. Obviously, we're not understanding those people in North Korea. You look over the Middle East, Hezbollah has completely rearmed and refitted, as well as Hamas. And about 3 weeks ago, open source intelligence out there now, there was a Russian-made submarine with an Iranian flag that was seen offloading chemical weapons into southern Lebanon. Now, chemical weapons by themselves do not mean anything. But when you understand that the new Scud-D missile system has been brought from Iran through Syria into southern Lebanon, that means now that chemical weapons can be loaded on that warhead and every single city in Israel can be attacked. Which is why just last week, Israel ran its biggest emergency preparedness exercise in quite some time. And they started issuing out gas masks to their citizens. rockets that are down in the Gaza Strip can already hit from the Gaza Strip up to Ashkelon. So right now you're looking at a situation in Israel where every single inch of land in Israel can be struck. And we know that if Iran gets a nuclear device, exactly what they're going to do. Iran has been purchasing new surface-to-air missile systems from Russia. And why would you think they need new surface-to-air missile systems? Because they saw what happened when Israel went into Syria, and all of those antiquated systems failed, and they were able to take out those nuclear facilities that the Syrians have been working with the North Koreans on. They're preparing for what may be the eventual strike, because Israel does have to protect itself. But the whole thing about Israel launching a strike is not whether or not they will they get the airspace clearance to do it? Will they get the aerial refueling to do it? Which is what they have always depended on the United States of America to do. So that's the critical aspect. Can Israel survive a three-front war once they take an action if they don't have the support of the United States of America to come and provide them the logistical support? You also just saw recently where Brazil and Turkey, two countries that we feel are our allies, stood hand in hand with Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, saying that they would take enriched uranium from Iran. But Iran will still have enough enriched uranium to develop a nuclear device. The riots in Greece. The riots in Greece is exactly the same thing can happen here in the United States of America. When you continue to grow and build an entitlement class, then all of a sudden, when you come to that entitlement class, say we can't do it anymore because we're running out of money, we're bankrupt. They're not going to take that too nicely. And that is what's happening there. And that thing, as you understand this thing called the pigs, Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, and Spain, is going to spread all across Europe. The failure of socialist economic theory is what you see unfolding right now in Europe. And people are not going to sit down and take it very lightly. When you live in a country like Greece, where you can retire at 55 and get 80% of a pension, that's unsustainable. When you think about where we are in the United States of America, where 47% of Americans are not paying federal income taxes, but yet they continue to be promised free entitlements, we're on that same road. We have increased terrorist attacks here in the United States of America. I served at Fort Hood, Texas. We know what happened there. We know about Carlos Bledsoe, who shot 2 U.S. soldiers in Washington. All the way up to what we just saw with the last incident with the airline bomb, what we just saw in Wisconsin. It's going to continue to intensify. And when we have an attorney general that will not stand up and face this enemy, when he says that I'm uncomfortable with saying that this thing called radical Islam is an issue, we're going to continue to have attacks because we will not stand up. We continue to deny that this enemy exists. And it's gotten so bad that all of a sudden a 13-story Islamic Cultural Center is being proposed to be built right there at ground zero. Well, what's the worst part about that? The opening day for that Islamic Cultural Center is 9/11, 2011. And if you study history and you understand Islamic conquest, what that is a symbol of their triumph over you. And the money that's going to be used to build that mosque is not coming from independent American citizens. It's coming from overseas sources, such as Saudi Arabia and other places. When you have a cleric, an imam, like Alawi, who just came out 2 days ago and said that he wants to see American civilians killed. That's the message that's being sent to individuals that are here in the United States of America, which comes back to something else that's very important. If we don't secure our borders, we're going to continue to allow this enemy to infiltrate. If you go and you look at what's happening in South America, in a mountainous region between Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina, Hezbollah already has terrorist training camps established there. And being aided with Hugo